So, police officers has arrested the great Tumpa Dragon after over 20 years on the run for murder. So the news reaching us over here at Common Sense News is stating that after nearly 20 years suspended between rumors and reality, between Whisper Street lore and the quiet persistence of official files, a man once accused of unleashing violence in broad daylight has finally been brought before the machinery of justice. What began as a shocking shooting in 2006 evolved into one of those cases that linger in the public memory, fading at the edges but never fully erased. Now, in 2026, the long arc of that story has bent back towards accountability. At the center of this unfolding narrative is Collin Mowatt, also known by the aliases Tumpa and Tumpa Dragon. For almost 2 decades, his name circulated in connection with a violent incident that occurred on a January afternoon in the parish of St. Thomas. Time passed, generations shift, headlines changed, yet the file bearing his name remained open, quietly, patiently within the records of the law enforcement. The incident that echoed through time. According to the police report, at approximately 1:30 p.m. on January the 24th, 2006, a woman was approached by a man allegedly armed with two firearms in the harsh clarity of daylight. Shots rang out. The act was brazen, not merely because of the weapons involved, but because of the symbolism of the hour midday when life ordinarily unfolds in predictable rhythms. Work, school, errands, routine. Violence intruding upon that routine carries a particular psychological weight. The allegation was stark. The accused allegedly fired upon the woman and then fled the parish. In the immediate aftermath, there was urgency, searches, statements, interviews, and appeals for cooperation. But as they turned into months and months into years, the suspect remained beyond the grasp of authorities. The case did not disappear, but it entered that difficult category of unresolved crimes that test both institutional endurance and public faith. The anatomy of evasion. To evade capture for nearly 20 years requires more than mere luck. It suggests mobility, adaptability, and perhaps a careful understanding of investigative patterns. Jamaica's geography, with its interconnected parishes and evolving urban landscapes, can offer both concealment and anonymity to those determined to remain unseen. For years, Mowatt reportedly managed to avoid arrest. Each year that passed without resolution added a layer of complexity to the investigation. Witness memories dim, physical evidence degrades, investigators retire or transfer, yet in serious matters, particularly those involving firearms and intent to cause harm, files are rarely closed without resolution. The concept often invoked in such circumstances is the long arm of the law. It is a phrase that risks cliche through repetition, but it encapsulates a fundamental principle of justice system worldwide. Time does not necessarily extinguish accountability. A break in December 2025. The breakthrough did not emerge from the original parish where the shooting occurred. Instead, it came nearly 2 decades later in St. Anne in December 2025. Police intercepted Mowatt in connection with another firearm-related investigation. Such interceptions are rarely isolated events. They often trigger background checks, cross-referencing of names, and re-examinations of outstanding warrants. It was during this renewed scrutiny that investigators reportedly connected him to the 2006 shooting. Advances in forensic science over the past 2 decades, improvements in ballistics analysis, digital record keeping, and inter-parish data sharing have transformed the investigative landscape. Evidence that may once have seemed insufficient can acquire new sufficient when revisited with the contemporary tools. Further investigations and forensic analysis linked more to the St. Thomas case, prompting detectives to execute a warrant. What had once been a lingering allegation became formalized into renewed legal action. The charges were laid. Mowatt now faces multiple charges: shooting with intent, wounding with intent, illegal possession of a firearm, and illegal possession of ammunition. Each charge carries its own legal threshold and burden of proof. Together, they form a serious indictment that reflects both the alleged act of violence and the broader issue of firearm proliferation. In Jamaica, illegal firearms remain a central concern in crime prevention strategies. Cases involving weapons often resonate beyond the individual directly involved, touching on national debate about security, border control, and community trust. Institutional persistence. The commanding officer for the St. Thomas, Deputy Superintendent of Police Rohan Ritchie, publicly commended the officers involved in finally bringing the case before the court. His remarks emphasized collaboration and perseverance, qualities essential in long-running investigations. He referenced the oft-quote notion of the long arm of the law, underscoring that in this instance it reached back 20 years. The statement was not merely rhetorical flourished, it was an assertion of institutional continuity. Police departments are composed of individuals, but they function as enduring entities. Officers may rotate in and out, but the mandate remains constant. The broader framework supports such investigations. In Jamaica Constabulary Force, over the past 2 decades, the force has undergone modernization efforts aiming in improving interdivisional communication and forensic capacity, cross-border collaboration with parishes, enhanced databases, and improved training have all contributed to strengthening investigative reach. Ritchie also highlighted the cohesive efforts across divisional borders, a detail that underscores a critical truth about modern policing: crime does not respect administrative boundaries, and neither can effective law enforcement. The weight of the time. There is something uniquely compelling about cases resolved after long absences. They invite reflection on the time itself, how it alerts perception, reshape communities, and change the peoples involved. For the alleged victim, the reopening of the case may stir memories long compartmentalized, and for witnesses, it may require revisiting testimony given years early. For the accused, it marks the end of an extended chapter of evasion and the beginning of a formal confrontation with the justice system. Society often measures justice in immediacy: swift arrests, rapid trials, prompt sentences, yet there is another dimension of justice rooted in persistence. Delay accountability is not the same as denied accountability. When a case resurfaces after decades, it affirms a collective refusal to let certain acts dissolve into obscurity. Public confidence and institutional legitimacy. In his remarks, DSP Ritchie emphasized building public confidence. That phrase speaks to a delicate balance. Public trust in law enforcement hinges not only on crime prevention, but also on perception that no one remains beyond reach indefinitely. Cold cases, as long as running investigations, can erode confidence if perceived as forgotten. Conversely, their eventual resolution can strengthen legitimacy, demonstrating the files remaining active, and the technological advances can breathe new life into dormant leads. The arrest also signals to communities that time does not grant immunity. It reinforces the principle that alleged offenders cannot rely indefinitely on anonymity or displacement. The court date approaches. Mowatt is scheduled to appear before the court on March 6, 2026. That appearance will mark the transition from investigative phase to the judicial scrutiny. Allegations will be tested, evidence will be examined, legal arguments will be unfolded in structured proceedings governed by rules designed to protect both the accused and the integrity of the process. It is crucial to remain that charges are not convictions. The presumption of innocence remains foundational. The court will ultimately determine whether the evidence satisfies the standard required for conviction. A broader reflection. This case, though centered on a single alleged act in 2006, intersects with broader themes in Jamaican society: the challenge of illegal firearm, the resilience of investigative institutions, and the evolving nature of forensic science. It also serves as a reminder that history is rarely static. Events that appeared settled or forgotten can re-emerge and with renewed clarity. Justice systems operate within time, but they are not confined by it. For nearly 20 years, the name Collin Mowatt existed in a liminal space between allegations and absence. His recent arrest collapsed that distance. The narrative now shifts from pursuit to prosecution, from speculation to adjudication. Sorry about that one, people. The symbolism of the arrest extends beyond the individual. It illustrates institutional memory. It reflects collaborative policing across parishes. It demonstrates the practical meaning of the long arm of the law. Conclusion: what began on January afternoon in 2006 in the St. Amos has now entered a new chapter. The alleged victim experience, the investigators' persistence, and the accused years of invasion converge into a courtroom setting that promised resolution one way or another. The story is no longer about disappearance, it is about return to the jurisdiction of the court, return to the scrutiny of evidence, and return to the principle that time alone does not extinguish responsibility. As March 6 approaches, the public will watch the case stands not merely as a legal proceeding, but as a testament endurance of memory, of investigation, and of enduring belief that justice, however delayed, remains possible. So right now, people, right now, as what me say, it is not looking good right now on Mr. Mowat. When I hear about this case, it really makes me stop and think. For almost 20 years, this man was out there living his life while a serious crime for 2006, from 2006 was still hanging over his head. That was a very long time. Some people probably thought this case would never be solved. The man, Collin Mowatt, also known as Tumpa Dragon, is accused of shooting a woman in the St. Thomas back in January 2006. Police say he had two guns and shot her in the middle of the day. That must have been very scary for the victim and for anyone who saw it happen. Daytime is when people are working, going to school, or running errands. It is not a time when you expect gunfire. After that, him reportedly left the parish and managed to avoid police for years. I can only imagine how frustrating that must have been for the investigators and for the victim. When someone is hurt like that, you want answers, brother. You want justice. But sometimes justice takes time, is it? What really stands out to me is the police never give up. In December 2005, the officers them in a sentence stopped him in connection with another gun case. That stop led to them to deeper look into his past. With more investigation and forensic evidence, they linked him back to the 2006 shooting. That shows how important it is for police to keep good records and work together, brother. You see me? Deputy Superintendent Rohan Ritchie from the Jamaica Constabulary Force said the long arm of the law reached back 20 years. I think that message is very powerful, my people. It tells people that even if you run, hide, or move to another parish, the law can still catch up with you one day or another. Now, Mr. Mowatt, him has been charged with shooting with intent, wounding with intent, illegal possession of a firearm, and illegal possession of ammunition. He is said to appear before the court in a March 6, 2026. Of course, yeah man, being charged does not mean he is guilty, my people. The court will have to decide that everyone deserves a fair trial, a lie? Yeah, man, my people, to me, this case is a reminder that time does not erase everything. Some cases take years to solve, but that does not mean they are forgotten. For the victim, this moment might bring mixed feelings, yes, maybe relief, maybe pain from remembering what happened. For the community, it may bring hope that justice can still be done even after many years. At the end of the day, my people, this story shows that patience and hard work can matter. It also sends a message: running away does not always mean you get away. You see me? Yeah, mama people, some want you guys make sure that you guys are subscribed to the movement over here at Common Sense, where you guys will always get updates, and we mainly give you guys updates on high valued criminals like this. Just like how Mr. Mowat was on the run for 20 years now, the justice system we have caught up with him. Yeah, mama people, will make sure that you guys get these outstanding updates, these outstanding uploads, and at the same time, people remember to subscribe down below with the bell notification and press also that as my drop our next factual exclusive, you guys be one of the first persons to receive it. And remember to share your individual thoughts in the comment section, and I personally will be responding to those comments. So once more again, it was Common Sense telling you guys to stay safe, stay blessed. I'm out.